Okay, so let's generate SSH key. First of all, for us to go and generate this, I'll just need to show you that I haven't got anything on that directory. So if I do that and press on enter, you see there's actually just nothing on this. This is just an empty file that was empty directory that was created just when I was trying to access something, but we can drop this as well. Once you drop it, this will recreate itself, but you can see there's no other files. There's no other file that is here. In that case, in fact, just drop it. So I'll just drop this just so we start on a clean slate. So I'll just do .ssh here and remove this directory as well completely. So if I do that and just do this, you see there will be error. There's no such directory. So in that case, now that they are gone, for us to now generate this key, all we need to do is SSH key gen. So just key gen here, and then I will say -t for that. I will say ed 25519, and I'll say -c here, or capital C here. So that C is the comment, as we said. So here, and then this T here is for the type of the type you want to generate. In this one, I'm doing the modern one here. So let's put the comment here. So my email address to connect to some of my servers, it can really be anything, but in this case it's been, I think I'm just using send idea ltd@gmail.com. So just once I've done that, I just press and enter. You can see that automatically that this is going to generate. This is my username, username /.ssh, and it will generate this. If you're not happy with this location and the name as well, you can change, but I'm fine with that. I press and enter. It will say, okay, directory is created. You can see it wasn't there, it's now created. And then if you want to like double protection, like put extra password on top, just a password that is going to protect your private and public key as well. I mean, it's really not necessary. Some company can actually insist that you do that, but for here, there's really no need. If you do that, still there's no problem with that. But problem is remembering to always put that key is the problem. But for me, I'll simply just say no. Just say no. Ask me the same question again. I'll say no, and it will just generate the key, as you can see. So if I max this out, you can see that the key is now generated, and this is the protocol that is now generated. So let's have a look. I'll just go here and go to this directory. You can see now that the two keys are here. The first one is just this name, id underscore ed 25519, and the second one is the same name .pub. The pub one is the public key. This is the one that you'll be sharing with things like your GitLab, your GitHub, or your remote servers. This is the one that people can actually see. And you need to copy this key now and just go to like where you want to paste it in this case. So we're copying this and pasting it. So what we need to do is to actually just now go and copy this key and put it in. So I'll be showing you, because I just need to put a caveat here that the private key isn't meant to be shown. It should be confidential. But the public key is actually public, as the name suggests. So in fact, the public key, you can just cut it out and just show that on that, and just say id underscore ed that and do .pub. You can see that actually, so you can see what the key is about. Copy every single thing in that, as you can see here, and then go to your account and just paste it through. Okay, so now what we need to do is to go on like a GitLab and just so I've got a GitLab here that I created. So I'm just going to go to my account and just open it up. And now I'm going to now go to my profile here and just try and set it up. So here is, I think it's on the preferences, and then I need to go to SSH, and then I need to put the key here, the public key. So just click on this and just the public key here. That's what it is, nothing. Most people do tend to name this key, give it a specific name. So you can just delete this and just put any name. So in this case, I might just say this is a name that you would understand what this is. So I will say account or profile, or like, I'll just say profile. Profile, just give it a specific name that you can understand what it is. This key, you can choose what this key is about, is for. This is for authentication and signing. It can be just for authentication. It can be for signing. For now, I'm just going to leave the two default. In this case here, I'll just, you can select the expiration time for this key. So once you hit that benchmark, the key would run out. So for me now, just do like, probably say, let's say, you should really make it like something very good, or put it to something close, maybe like a year or 2 years, so that it can always generate a new key. It doesn't take any effort to actually generate a key. So for me, I'll just make it and say 31st of Jan 2028, which is, this is 2025. And once you've done that, just click add. This is going to be added. In this case, the key is now added. The next thing now we now need to do is to, as we said, is to go back here. I'm just going to clear this now. So the next thing we need to do is to actually go and open up or like create. So first thing, let's check if that config file is there. So I just do that. And you can see there's no config file here. It is easy for you to actually do that with config files. So what we're now going to do is to do touch to create it. I'll just do that. I'll say .ssh and I'll say .config like that. Press and enter. If I do ls-la again, you see that I now have config file. This is easiest way of configuring this. There are other ways of doing that, but I'm just showing you this way. So because this is the best way I found of doing that. There is an easy way of doing it though, but that easy way, you know, I don't really bother with that because it's like I think I've shown that on my previous video, but you're going to be like configuring things on your bash RC or your ZSH RC, so that each time that runs you get it, but you can just create this config file. So let's open up this config file. So I'll just use VS Code here. I've got VS Code. You can just open it up with anything you like. I mean, you can open it up with Vim as well. So, but here I'll just do .v and I'll say config here, press and enter. So this is open up. I'll just like zoom this out a little bit. So what we are asked to do here is to specify the name of the server that we want to work with. In this case, what we are working with here is we're going to work with probably say GitLab as an example. So if we're going to be working with GitLab, so I might just say GitLab, this is just a comment, okay? So the first thing we said we're going to do is to do host here in capital letter, put a host name. So here is gitlab.com again, and then when you go below here, so just one indent, sorry, just one indent here. Yeah, one indent here. So I'm going to say host here. The host here or host name, I'll do host name, sorry. Host name here would be that same GitLab here, gitlab.com. So the next thing we want to say is the user. So here is the username that you use to log on to your thing, because we are customizing this one for GitLab so that it doesn't ask you this all the time. I mean, you can, if you don't want to list out your username for your GitLab account here, it's pretty much fine as well. So you don't have to do that. But when you don't do that, it would prompt you for your username during the connection. So, so for us, let's go back and find out what our username for GitLab is going to be. So I'm going to go back. Our username here is at SendIdea Limited actually. So I'll just say here, I'll just say SendIdea Ltd here. That's our username. And then the next one, obviously again, is port 22 if you want to. I really, because by default it's that port. So, but you can list it out and over in that case. So if you actually say it's say, if you actually say it's port, let's say port 22. Now it can be port, let's say ports 822 something. Just in this case, you have overridden port 22 itself, but because it's going to default port 22 anyway, so I don't need to do that. So here I want to have preference, preferred authentication here, authentications. Here I want to use public key here to do that. Now the last one I want to do is the identity file. So where is that file for our private key located? It is located within here. So if you see now, if I do print working directory, actually, so what I need to do is to get into .ssh here. Right, so this is, if I do ls-l here, you see this is where this private one is located. Now, if you want to see the full path, you can do print working directory. It will tell you that this is where it's located. But we all know that this can be replaced with the oblique symbol. So we can just have just this and this prefix together. So what we want to do is to just go back to that file and just type it. So you can see this is the oblique sign, this is the SSH folder, and in this case it's not, it's now ID underscore ED 25519. That's what we saw. This is now seeing the public, the private file. Okay, so that's for that one. And the second one we want to have is okay, so the second one we want to have is to have what we talked about as host again. Obviously, you can do this as many times as possible. So in this case, again, it can be probably you want to do one for GitHub or whatever. If you want to use same key to connect to so many places. So again, so for instance, let's say we have GitHub account. So here I will just say github.com. Okay, so, and then actually instead of typing, why don't I just copy this whole thing here and just put it here. Let's see. So here, just take this out. This is host name now. This will now be github.com. So in this case now we have github.com. Now find the username for GitHub so that each time you're logging on to GitHub, it wouldn't need to ask you for this detail again. And again, as well, it's really good for you to probably like make comment as you made at the top so we know what it is. In this one as well, we can just say this is going to be for, I'll say, GitHub. But in this case, I'm configuring is where you want to use one key or probably two keys. If it's different key, you change it here. Let's say you have two different key pairs, for one for GitLab, one for GitHub as well. So you can do that and just point them here. But this is customization so that it doesn't ask you what this is about again. Okay, so now that we've done that, just find the username for your GitHub here and just put it here. Find the path for your key. In this case, I'll leave this as is as well, just so that we know. But for now, because I'm not connecting to GitHub, I'll just do, probably let's do like XSSS, so I'll remember and come and change it. Right. So now that you're done with both customization of different things you want to have, the last thing you want to now have is like the generic one. Again, it's still the same, or you can just make that same comment again and say this is now general. So this one applied to both GitHub and GitLab. So in this one, I just want to like, probably doesn't matter anyway, but this is now general, which is common to both. So this is hoster. Within that, you want to tap, and then here you want to say, oh, sorry, capital letter, I want to say add keys to agent. So add keys to agent. Oh, sorry, to capital letter. Just be careful what you're typing. Don't be like me. Add key to agent, yes. And then the next one you want to is use keychain if you want to. I mean, this is only important if you're working on MacBook as well. Most people tend to go and repeat this again, just so it doesn't matter where it's coming from as well. So just have that. Oh, sorry, let's not override that. I'm on MacBook anyway. I can say use keychain and say yes. There are other things you can have that can be common within them. I already specified the path to those ones. So I can have things like, let's say, identities only. So I can say identities only. Oh, sorry, identities only. So let's check the spelling. Identities only. Yeah, that's correct. Here should be yes. And then the last thing I think I want to worry about is compression, so you can just compress the whatever it's doing. So I can say compression here. I can say yes. I mean, these are just enough. I think you can carry on to like specify different things, but again, just to reemphasize, this is customized for GitLab, where we have GitHub. I mean, it has option as well for password, but please don't list out your password in a plain text here, because as we said, we're not even bothered with password. We're doing key authentication, isn't it? So that's why we have this. Preferred authentication is public key, and then identity file, the key itself is here. So some people, if they have like different keys, will say this, they might just customize this one. They might just say this is GitLab key, and then this one is GitHub key or something. But for me, I'm just using one key, so I just keep it simple. So now that this is done, I actually did a save, as you can see. And then this actually formatted it nicely for me just because of the tool I'm using. I'm using VS Code. If you like it, please just use that. If you don't, it's still fine. Do whatever it is you want to use. This is completely fine. Okay, so moment of truth. Now we've finished with the configuration, is to go and test it out. As we said, the first thing we need to do is to just go and test it and make sure the connection is secure. So I'm going to be calling out to GitLab. Obviously, if you actually set up the GitHub as well, just to GitHub here is the GitLab that I want to call out to. If I make this call just to test that it is fully set up, it will pretend to connect, but it will contact GitLab, but it wouldn't do any file transfer. If I make this call now, it will ask me to save on my host file just to add that address. It will discover the IP address of gitlab.com and just add it locally. Once you add it locally, it would allow the verification. If you don't add it locally, it would fail. So let's do that. Now it's asking us, it says, hey, I found this GitLab instance that is somewhere in the cloud with this IP address, and I'm going to authenticate, do the handshake. Hey, are you sure you want to continue connecting? Yes, if you type yes, it will pass. If you say no, it would. So let's type no and see how it fails. So I'll say no here, and it just straight away just says host key verification failed. Now if I do that one more time and just say yes, so you can cache it locally, it would actually just pass. And instead here I just say warning, this address is now listed to your host file, and it just say, hey, welcome to GitLab at send idea. So it knows who we are, which means it has actually connected. So if we go back and do ls-la and just inside this directory, you now see that a new file, you can see this is 744. A new file has now been created, meaning that I can now go ahead and start doing git to clone with an SSH or to connect to any other remote resource I want. And as well, if you have GitLab, that's the way you can connect this. This is just one way of doing it, really.